Well, welcome back. This is Mark. Um, Earlier today, I recorded a video for new people to the game and how to get into a scenario. What I'm going to talk about in this video is I hope to start a new series of game designers for game designers. Maybe we'll call it Designers Corner, I guess. That'll be the playlist that'll be part of. I want to show very early on. I showed how to kind of create a scenario, but I've added so many tools and so many things into um, how to create missions that I think it's about time that I kind of gave um, a good foundational video on how to create missions. And hopefully, in this video, we can create a pretty quick little mission and we'll see what we can do here. Okay, so um, I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you're pretty familiar with this game. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time uh, discussing things that you're probably already aware of, right? So this is a little bit for advanced players who at this point are just like me, where whenever you play a game, the first thing you start doing is, hmm, how can I make this better, or how can I tweak this game? So I hopefully have given you tools that you can do that. And if you find things that you want to actually make changes to that are actually changes to the game, obviously, I join our Discord. Let me know about it and give me ideas. I've been pretty good about adding things on almost daily from requests from the user community. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to start a new game, and our first big decision is our scenario. Where do we want this to be? Our options are, let's see, let's let's do. That's a good question. Um, all right, let's do uh, the Mediterranean. I don't know. Let's do North Atlantic. Might be easier to do to North Atlantic, although I think we've had quite a number of scenarios there. Anyway, yeah. So your big thing is, what are you trying to do? Um, oh heck, let's do. Okay, fine. Let's do South Atlantic. That'll be a new area, and hopefully the code that I've written that allows you to build things in the South Atlantic, hopefully it works. So we're kind of taking a chance here, but I'm going to choose South Atlantic, and I'm going to say start this game type. Now, the South Atlantic game type is around the Falklands, so maybe we'll do like a little Falklands scenario. Okay, maybe a return to the Falklands. Uh, and if you notice, on the pre-builts, there are no pre-builts. So this was a request from one of the players. He actually did some research. We added a few new units into the game that are like circa 2000 time frame, which is better, more advanced than the 1990s version. Um, so what we'll do is we'll say, hey, the British again are maybe with some help from I don't know the Americans or something or somewhat, and I don't know maybe we'll throw in some Russian stuff too. Um, we'll see. We'll see how it is. So since I can't create one, there is no already pre-built. We're going to return to the main menu and we're going to say start empty sandbox. Okay. So, all right. So since it's a brand new game, we go right to the setup forces phase. Now, a lot of people probably have been in the setup forces phase maybe early on. Most games now that people are playing, they're going right to the deployment phase, but we're going to go to the setup forces phase. Okay. So let's first thing I would say do is start generating the thoughts on like what you want this scenario to be. I think we're in Zoom. I'm gonna I think we might already be at two, but let me check. Okay, it looks like we're already at 2. So I'm going to go out to 1. All right, so we get a better idea about things. Okay, so let's get a lay of the land here. So essentially, you got a bunch of zones, and zones will be very important as we establish like how to create missions. Okay. Um, you also have some entry points. You have an entry point coming in from the Pacific, and you have an entry point coming in from the Atlantic. Okay, so we can use these areas to put forces that are en route. Um, we also want to set up the sides. Okay, so on this side, on this we have Uruguay, we have Chile, we have Argentina, and we have Falklands, which is belongs to the British. So very easily um, we can create forces for those countries. I've also added support for Brazil and Peru, and then Soviets and Americans come with automatically, right? Because you can always create Soviet or American stuff in any area where it's already aligned to a side. Okay, so well, let's just make a really quick scenario. All right, so we're gonna do a. We'll say the British have some forces around here. They have a group that's coming in that's maybe en route, and um, and defending will be all of the Argentinian ships. Okay. We'll also say that they got some fighter support from the Russians or the Soviets. Okay. All right. So what do we decide? Well, we got two ways you can do it. You can either add chips, or you could set up the sides and set up the AI confines. Okay, and I've created some ways of doing a lot of work, and so I'll show you that right here. Okay, so all right, first let's establish the fact that what do we want to do? So there's two things I think you want to make sure you think about. Number one, does this mission involve is it going to be a standard mission that you have like um, objectives that ships have to get to and then they disappear, and by ships getting to certain things or accomplishing certain objectives, that's how you win? Or is it one that's less like that but more like you actually have to land troops and take over areas? Okay, so I'm thinking that just for the purposes of this mission, let's have something that says whoever owns Port Stanley at the end of the game is the winner. Okay, so that means that Port Stanley has to be able to be conquered, which means that you need to use garrison combat. That's the only way that you can actually conquer bases and change hands. Okay, so we'll do a couple of things. Number one, we'll say that Argentina. We'll click Argentina's country and we'll align the country to the Soviets. So that's on the opposite side of the British. Okay. So that goes ahead and takes all their forces and sets them aligned to the Soviets. All right. None of these other countries, I think we want to keep everybody else neutral. I think that's fine. Right, for now, Brazil and Peru, we don't want them aligned either. Okay. So we have the countries aligned. We go to our settings. We set garrison combat. Now remember, these settings that you're setting here are what if this mission gets set up as like a template, these settings are going to get defaulted whenever someone starts the game. Okay, especially if they go to the deployment phase. Okay. Now in this phase, so we'll do garrison combat and we'll do Garrison Conquer at 0 defense with simulated combat. Okay, I like that one best, right? As you're starting to land troops, every turn there's like a little minor combat that calculates casualties, and then um, once somebody reaches 0, one of the sides reaches 0, then the base might get conquered. Okay, so we'll do the Garrison Conquer at 0 defense with simulated combat. All right. And it just tells you and lets you know that you've set it up like that. Everything else, I'm going to leave pretty much basic. Garrison combat is the big thing, right? Because that tells you some of the some of the AI objectives that might get created. All right, so next thing we want to do is we want to define the area by of which where we would have units and stuff where we want. Basically, what you're doing is you're going to build the mission as if you're building it for AI, and that helps establish the rules and the objectives that players, when they play, if they view the um, AI objectives, they'll be able to kind of get an idea about what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, so I think a good design is that you create it so that if I see if I if I have the AI playing either side, they'll do generally smart things. Okay, so what we're going to do is first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a AI template, which is a new logic type that I've created recently, and I added a bunch of new functionality to it. So from any place I can create those. So for the British, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create logic AI template. Okay. I'm going to name this template allies. Okay. So now, first thing you want to do with this AI template is you want to have it figure out the scope of what the AI will cover. The easiest thing to do is just say it covers this whole theater. Okay. But if you have a very large theater, you could say, well, let's see, I'll say something like this. All right, apply. All right, so I could either add this theater to coverage, all right, which I'll do that. Okay, so now this thing covers the whole theater. Why? And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've created a shortcut that creates a bunch of different objective logics based on the geography that you have selected. Okay, so if you don't like that, you can say clear locations and start over again. Let's say I only want it to work within these zones. I only want the AI to interact within, let's say, this zone. Well, I'll show you. Add this zone to coverage. Okay, add zone to coverage. Add zone to coverage. Okay, so now that you have your zones covered, um, what I'll do is I will create there's an option here that says create baseline deployment logics and create baseline objective logics. Okay, so um, baseline deployment objects is essentially going to create deployment zones for each of these areas, each of these zones. Okay, and then it'll also create one for the whole mission area. Okay, so um, you if you already know that, what I would do is I would go ahead and create them anyway, and then at the end you could have it. It'll delete all the ones that you don't use. Okay, so I'm going to say create baseline objective logics or deployment logics. Excuse me, and all right, so if you notice, what did it create? It created a deploy South Atlantic Theater, deploy Mission Area, deploy South Georgia Zone, Falklands Zone, Far South Atlantic, and South Argentina. So it automatically created ones that cover each one of these zones. Okay. And one, two, three, four, Far South Atlantic. I'm just making sure that it created all the ones. One, two, three, four, five. South Argentina, Falkland, South Georgia, which is here, Far South Atlantic. I don't know. For some reason, I'm counting more. I'm counting more than it. I must be missing. There must be a zone here that I'm not noticing here. But it should have created one, two, three, four. I think there's only four here, but I think there must be a fifth that I'm missing or something. I don't know. Either way, um, I'm really confused about that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. All right. So, all right. So that created all those. Now I'm also going to create the baseline objective logics. Okay, and there's going to be a ton more. I'm actually going to move them out of here so they aren't in the same spot as the. Eventually, you can move all these out of the way. In fact, notice if you generally only want like objectives, like cluttering the map on places that you care about showing the objective. Okay, so but I'll show you that at the end. All right, so I'm also going to create all my baseline objective logics. Okay, so look what it did. It created a bunch. It created a load objective. It created a destroy port, destroy airfield, destroy base, replenish USA, replenish UK, group South. It created a grouping, uh, and it created patrols. Okay, so um, I'll explain what each of these types are. Okay, so all right, so let's just click on something. I got all these dots out of here. Okay, so yeah, let's go through and all right, first, patrol South Georgia zone. Okay, so there's your patrol South Georgia zone. Okay, so um, what you're going to want is likely, what I mostly do is if you have specific units that you want to keep within just a single, uh, that you want to keep within a single zone, then you could, um, you could give them orders just to patrol that zone. Most of the time what I do is, just a very simplistic. I'm going to have a single patrol zone that covers the whole mission area, and a grouping zone that covers that whole area. All that means is those are the two key patrol and grouping are the two key things you need to make ships generally do what you want them to do. Patrol means they'll just start randomly moving within that zone and they'll react to enemy that is detected within that confines. Grouping means that occasionally they'll come off patrol and they might choose to go into a grouping objective. And when they go to a grouping objective, that means they find any other friendlies in that group, in that area, and they join up with them. So essentially, over time, you'll see the AI slowly start collecting their ships into larger and larger groups. They'll be limited by the fact that they can't put more than 12 combat ships in a group, but that's the behavior. So you always want to have most ships, surface ships, you're going to want to have a grouping, and for most combat ships, you're going to want to have a patrol. Um, yeah, so anyway, so what this did is it created all of the building blocks that you can do for assigning objectives to things. Okay, so let's set up the British first. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit now, and let's start doing some stuff. Okay, so what do we want? All right, all right. So Port Stanley. Let's create some. All right, we're going to create some British UK. Uh, I don't know. Definitely recon, right? We're gonna want to maybe a Nimrod. Okay. Um, let's see. What else? Maybe we'll have. Um, okay. Let's do. Let's have maybe. Let's see. We'll put. I was just gonna put. We're gonna put some F4s, and that's it. Okay. Now, on the what I would do is, figure out what units you want. I'm also gonna at Port Stanley. I'm gonna add a garrison. Um, think of it this way. Most of the time, what your biggest amphibious assault ships are going to carry like 10 garrison points, right? So build it so that you create like in my opinion, you want to create a somewhat, uh, you don't want to create an impossible task. You put 300 garrison on this, the the Argentinians are never going to be able to take it, right? So we'll say that there's every I kind of equate every one garrison point to be about 100 men, general. So I would say a garrison of 1,000 guys would be about right. Um, but that's kind of the lowest number you can create. So I'm going to create. So now there's a garrison of 10 on the British thing. Now where are the rest of the troops? We can say that. So what we'll do is we'll create some AA ships. All right, so I'm going to create, and these guys are going to be coming in. Okay, so let's create some surface. Let's do the. It'd be nice to have like the old carriers and stuff, but I think we'll do the Ark Royal. Some British, some Royal Navy files will probably yell at me if not picking the right ships. But all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put that guy in route. So we're going to increase his in route to say, we'll say he's going to be there. So what we'll do is we'll probably have like a frigate and maybe one sub in this area, right? And then a carrier, a couple of destroyers, and a couple of frigates will be coming in with AA ships, right? So and we'll say that it's going to take them. We'll say given the stats, or given the situation, we'll say that it's going to take them 4 days to get here, right? So that's 12 turns. So we'll increase that thing to 12. Okay, now we're going to create some other units. All right, so we'll do a surface, we'll do a destroyer, Bristol. We'll pick a random one. We'll pick another random one from that. We're going to create we'll create a frigate. We'll choose a random frigate, and we'll create another random frigate, and then likely they're going to have some type of combat support with them. So let's see what we got. We do have some combat support. We have some ammo and tankers. I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I'll just do a combat support that'll have both fuel and ammo on it. So we'll pick a Fort Victoria, random one from that. Now all of these guys need to be set up to 12, right? So I'm just going to go through here. I'm going to increase their arrival. If I set the arrival to be something different, then that means I'm creating a staggered entry, right? You could also go to individual turns, right? It doesn't have to be multiples of three, but I make it very easy since 3 turns equals a day, right? So, all right. Now, what else is coming with them? Hell's coming with them. No. All right. So we're gonna create some AA ships. All right. So let's create like three random AA ships. Okay. All right. Now, we're not going to pick them to be removable during play because we're doing the old, because I chose garrison combat, right? So, if you choose removal during play, then likely they would just reach here, they would hit their objective, and then you'd be prompt to remove them. Um, you don't have to, but I like basically deciding like either they're going to be removed or they stay alive, right? And that you get to use them again. Okay. Why would you want to use them again? Let's say that we set up this doesn't have a base for South Georgia, but theoretically, if there was another base, we could put a garrison there. And then basically, if they reach here, they drop off troops, then you can have them go here and pick up more troops and make it back there, right? So it's really just however you want to set your scenario. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set them fully loaded. I'm going to increase that, and I'm going to create another one of this type, random, and we're going to make this guy. Just going to do that. We're going to create another of type, random. All right, so essentially at 12 turns out, I got the carrier, I got and all these other ships. Okay, now in Port Stanley, let's see, we could do some fun stuff here. We'll create a sub here, and then we can move them around. We're gonna do one of these Valiants, like the Conqueror. Didn't the Conqueror sink some stuff before? And let's say the Conqueror, you'll be able to put them anywhere within the far South Atlantic zone or South Georgia zone. Okay, so I'll show you how we assign that logic there. Okay, and let's say we'll base one frigate sitting here all alone. Okay, so we'll create UK frigate random. All right. All right, so we still haven't assigned any like objectives or anything, but we're kind of creating all of our stuff. All right. All right, so here let's create the well, let's create the AI for this guy too. All right, so logic AI template. We'll call it Argentinians. Okay, is that the way you spell Argentinians? All right, so let's move over here, and I'm just basically going to create. I'm going to say that they're also good in this zone. Add this zone. Add this zone. Okay, so now I know it covers that much. So we're gonna go over here just so I can create these things out of the way. I'm gonna have it create baseline deployment objects, and I'm gonna have it create baseline. I'm gonna move it over a little bit, create baseline objective logic, so I can see them very well. All right, so notice two, two, two. Yeah, there's only 4 patrols. One. Oh, I okay. Now I know why there was an extra one. It no matter what you do, no matter what you set as a thing, it does give you a generic um, patrol the whole map option that you can use for sources. Okay, so we're not going to use that guy. All right, but all right. So um, let's see here. All right, so what we'll do is, and I probably should have added the Argentinian zone in, but anyway, I don't think it matters, right? So what we'll do is we'll create some ships here for Argentinians. Surface Argentina. We're gonna create um, all the AAs. So they did have a 2000 version of a Sheffield that can carry some stuff. And then they have 4 mixed AAs. So I'm just gonna create some random. Well, I'm gonna try to keep this using one. All the 00s look different than the regular Argentinians, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep it all like old school instead of the 2000s. But if we added more forces, you could do that too. You can kind of mix them. All right, well, I'm gonna do mixed random, okay, and they'll all be available immediately. And okay, I'm gonna create all of them. Okay, so we got 4 AA ships. Let's create some other ships. Um, we got some destroyers. You can either do the Admiralty Brown or the 2 Sheffields. We'll do the 2 Sheffields, which might even be the same. Okay, we'll create some FFs. We'll do these Drummonds. We'll do the whole kit caboodle, right? Yeah, I'm giving the Argentinians a lot here because I think they're kind of outmatched, but we'll see. Others type. I think there's only one left. Mako. All right. So, um, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll kind of split these off and say some of them are a little forward at Commodore Rivadavia. Okay, so we'll do that here. I'll do half of these. I'm gonna do one of the destroyers. I'll do half of the frigates or some amount, or maybe a little less, and some of the let's do the AA ships. Okay. So now I got a couple of AA ships here, and a couple of escorts, and the rest of them are up in Buenos Aires. All right, there's no air, but let's say that the Russians, let's say that the Russians um, have supplied them with some um, maritime patrol, some old BE-12s or something like that, right? BE-12 and we'll say two squadrons of BE-12, two, whatever, two segments. Okay, so you got those guys there. All right, so now we got all of our forces aligned. So essentially, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set it up like this. Okay, so what we do is now we can use these templates. Okay, so notice that the game will create a base load. Yeah, here we go. So this load South Atlantic basically says, hey, okay, so the way it works is that yeah, the way it works is that it's basically gonna pick. Let's see here in all those zones, every port essentially. All right, so now if it's a neutral port, it's not going to be able to pull from it, but it still adds it anyway. The game is pretty smart about knowing that even if you say that this is one of the possible ports it could load from, it only loads from it if it's something it can load from. Okay, but you could make it like cover more things, right? So for these guys, let's say that all the troops are. So what we'll do is here in come on. At Comodore, we'll put a nice garrison, right? So more extra stuff, right? So what we'll do is um we'll create like 5,000 troops are there ready to go. Okay, so they have way more troops than the British do because I don't think that if you add up the 10 that are already sitting there and the amount on this ship is not a lot. So the British are gonna have to kill a lot of ships. Okay, and these guys are 12 turns away. I'm not sure. There might be a pretty large amount of whatever. We're not balancing this thing. I'm just trying to show you how it works. Okay. All right. Um, all right. So if we look at the objectives here, load. I only create a load because I can build my invade and unloads pretty easily from the load ones, so I can clone it. All right, so essentially here, what this thing says is it, the way the AI works is is that on a load, it looks for any base that has more than 10 above the defense or enemy forces, and then it'll go to them, pick up troops, and then take them to some place that it needs to go. Okay, so we only have really what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clone this guy. I'm gonna clone this guy, and I'm gonna create it as a so for landing troops, you either use transits if you're not actually gonna simulate troops landing, then you can use transit um, uh, objectives to get the um, it'll basically just the ships will get there and you'll use those transit objectives to like make the ships disappear and then you count VP for how many of things reach it. But if you actually want to actually duke out the actual battle, then you need to use load, unload, and invades. Okay, so we're gonna create a an unload. Okay, and we'll just call this Port Stanley. Okay, and then we're gonna put him on Port Stanley, and we're gonna say add this hex. Oh, it looks like it already has it. Okay, we don't have to do anything. Okay, so um, I'm gonna so for let's see, I'm gonna clear all. So basically, unloads. So loads, you want to have a lot of different areas, right? You want to have every place that it might be able to pick up troops. But your invade and unloads, you want to have a much smaller population, right? Because you only want them going to certain places, right? So we're going to create an unload here, and we're going to keep it as its weight to be the same as load and unload because you can't possibly. The reason why I worry about weights is the AI figures out weighting it uses to pick that particular objective. So you can't possibly both a ship can't possibly load and unload, right? Because it loads if it has stuff on it, and it unloads. Or I'm sorry, it loads if it doesn't have stuff on it, and it unloads if it does have stuff on it. So they're digital. They're always so you never have to worry about a ship trying to decide between whether it loads and unloads. But you do have to worry about a ship deciding whether it unloads or whether it tries to invade, right? So like let's say that I have like 6 bases that I'm trying to defend. If you want it to randomly choose between ships that it's still in possession of and I'm sorry, bases that it's still in possession of and bases that have been taken over by the enemy, if you want it to evenly distribute whether it chooses one or the other, then you leave their priorities the same. What I like to do is I put the priority like of invade to be super high. So that means if any of the things I'm trying to land troops at has the enemy on it, and I want that to be more priority, then I'll do that. And then once, uh, yeah. So anyway, so what I'll do normally is I'm going to set so this unload I'm going to keep it as a priority weight 1, and then I'm going to clone it, and I'm going to use it as an invade. And I'm going to name it Port Stanley. I'm going to put it on the same spot. It's already on the same spot because I cloned it. But I want to make this guy's priority much higher. Okay. So if the enemy takes over that base or the enemy owns it, then I want it to pick those priority, right? So I'm going to make it like 5. Okay. All right. So now, um, so I'll also, since it's an invade, I'll also set it to be visible all so that you can see, the enemy can see that that is an objective. Okay. So I'm going to set this one to be visible all. I'm going to set the other one to not be visible all because there's no reason why you need to see an unload and an invade there, right? It's really just a visibility thing, right? What's going to help the everyone understand anyway. So now what I can also do is I can do the same thing with these 2 objectives and assign them to in fact I will. I'm going to clone for enemy. Okay. So I'm going to clone this for the enemy, and it doesn't copy the name. And then let me find the unload, and I'm going to copy that also for the enemy. All right, so essentially, those are the only ones that the game doesn't automatically create when you use your create default objectives, right? Is the unloads and the other ones that it doesn't create are things like uh, transits that are very specific to this particular scenario, but it creates all your patrols, your groupings, your replenishments, and all that stuff. Okay, so it does speed up time. All right, so now we have, I think, all the things we need to do to create the scenario. All right, so how do we actually finish creating the scenario? All right, so first thing we do is we find this AI template thing. All right, there it is. Okay, so all right, so this AI template right here is all right. So the way you work is to save you clicks, you set up all the missions that are attached to this particular. So let's first let's set the links that we want to have attached to this template, and then we'll use this link, this template, to like add all the orders to all the ships on the map. All right. So first, um, objectives. Okay. So everything generally needs. Um, we'll do destroy airfield just cause. We'll do You need a grouping, and we'll always set the grouping to be the biggest one. Grouping mission area. We'll set invade. Um, there's not really any place for the British to load, but I'll sign it anyway. I don't think it's going to do anything with that. And um, and then a patrol. I'm just going to have a patrol the mission area. Okay. So and then I'm going to have it replenish when they need troops, which is not really accurate here. And for this particular scenario, I might not even select a replenish because there's not really. Um, well, I'll leave it on anyway. So um, let's see what else. I think there's a patrol mission area. Didn't I do that one? Grouping. Okay, so I think it has everything it needs. Invade, load. We'll do the unload as well. That means if you don't do unload, that means it won't load, it won't unload stuff unless it's owned by the enemy. So you need to create both an unload and a invade, right? Because you need to say, hey, listen, I want to be able to invade it if it isn't owned by me, but I also want to be able to reinforce it if it does belong to me. So I need to have an unload and an invade. All right, I think that's about it. All right, so now that I've created that, so now what I can do is I can say, within a single click, I can say apply to all ships in the mission area. Or actually, I'll do all ships in the theater. Hopefully that works. Okay. Let's see. Did it create ones for this? Oh, wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm viewing the AO info. Okay. Okay, great. All right, so notice what it did. So these ships are still are considered part of uh, this area, right? So that's why they got all the missions, and it automatically figures out what it gives it. So for these, it gives for all the AA ships, it automatically gives invade, load, and unloads too, and a grouping, and that's basically what AA ships always have. Then if you look at the Ark Royal has grouping, patrol, and replenish, right? So the game already knows what only type of objectives you could have. Okay, so now let's add this to all of the add to all squadrons in mission area. It's smart enough to know that if you go on to, let's see, the F4 has destroy airfield and has patrol. Those are the two options it can pick. Nimrod can only do patrol mission area. If we go onto the carrier, the Sea King. Oh, you know what? I didn't. Hold on a second. I didn't put it on. I said all ships in theater or squadrons in theater. I should have done. Okay. So now if I go to the Sea King, I notice now I'll have to figure out this, but since I'm at the bottom of the screen, I think I need to make this map a little bigger. Because right now what it thinks is it thinks that it can't scroll down anymore. So anyway, you get that problem when you're at the edge of the game board. So I'll make this thing a little bigger so that you don't ever run into that. But anyway, so notice the Sea King has a patrol. You can remove stuff. Normally, I didn't want to set the code to not add it to AEW because maybe in some instances you want AEW to have these kind of missions, but normally I don't. I usually I add all these into all the ships by default. I go back to the AEW planes and I usually remove any missions for it so that it's always on cap. Okay, because I think it's more I think generally no one's going to send the Sea King out like patrolling. Okay. So what that means, I'm going to go to links for this guy. I'm going to say objectives, and I'm going to take off its patrol. Okay. Now what is it? The Sea Harrier though is it has. Let's see. Oh my goodness, this thing is making me mad. All right. So the Sea Harrier has the destroy airfield and the patrol. Okay. All right. So pretty much at this moment, the British are all set up. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I take this thing out of the way and I do a couple of things. One is anything. Oh no! I'm not done yet. All right. So the Conqueror needs a deployment. So before I do this, so the Conqueror, I'm not going to use the template to add him because I'm only adding it to one guy, right? So for links, I'm going to add a deployment for this Conqueror, and I'm going to say he could be. We'll say he could deploy anywhere in the far South Atlantic or the South Georgia. Okay, so that means randomly he'll pick one of those places if you're playing against the AI. I don't think any of the other ones have a deployment like variance. In fact, no other ship on the thing has that. All right, so I'm pretty much done. So now I can go here to templates and I can say move all hidden logics here. Well, I could remove all unlinked logics. So there's a lot of logics that no one's using because you don't need them if no one's referencing them. So I'm going to hit remove all unlinked logics. Notice these numbers went down, these big now, and then I'm going to move all hidden logics here. So now it moves them all out of the way. Okay. So now um, let's do the same for the red side. Okay. So all right. So this guy, let's add in all the missions that we might want to give to all the units. All right. Destroy airfield South Atlantic. So that means they'll try to destroy Port Stanley. We'll do a grouping across the mission area. Um, Actually, I'll do a grouping. I'm going to do a grouping for South Atlantic because we have some units that are starting outside it. So I'd like that grouping to cover the whole thing. Okay. Let's do invade Port Stanley, load, unload, replenish Argentine ports, and then we'll do a patrol of the whole mission area. All right. That means they're only going to attack. They're only going to attack things that they detect within any of these areas. Okay. So I think that's about it. So now I should be able to, when I hit back, I should be able to now apply this to all ships in theater and all squadrons in theater. Okay, let's confirm. We look at this. We notice he has a patrol mission. All right, so it worked. All right, so now I'm going to move this guy completely out of the way because he doesn't need to be here. I'm going to say remove all unlinked and move all hidden logics here. And the game is ready to play. All right, so let me hit save progress. You probably should do that more often than I'm doing it. Okay, I waited to the very end. I did a lot of work. Okay, so now we have this thing here. Okay, so um, this mission is now usable, okay, by other people. Okay, now it's not a pre-built mission, so it doesn't have all the yummy things about it. What I would recommend is if you create a very good mission and you think it makes sense, I would give it, I would send it to me. And then what I can do is I can actually add it into the base game so that it now will show up as a pre-built mission. You can manually set this up on your side like that if you want, and I'll show you how. All right, so I'm done here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it out, and then I'm going to show you what I can do. All right, so I'm going to go to my saved games. Notice it created a single map South Atlantic mission here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the scenario file out of this, and I'm going to plop it into my templates directory, which is in program files. Okay, so I got program files here. I'm going to try and I'm going to go to. I've never done this before, so it's possible you might screw up here. All right, so no, I'm sorry, not. Oh, I did create. Hmm. Why? Single map South Atlantic Cuban Missile Crisis. I think I didn't use this guy. Anyway, all right. Let me get rid of those. There's no reason why there's a single. There's no reason why there's a Caribbean mission in here. All right. All right. So now I'm gonna name it to be whatever I want it to call it, right? Which is MB dot return to the Falklands. Okay. And then I'm going to create a quick little rule. I'm going to create a quick little rule file. All right, I'm going to call it rules. You need a rules. Oh, I'm sorry. It needs to be named the same thing. If you're making it into a pre-built, the way it works is you create two files that are named the scenario so that it pops up properly in the GUI of the game. All right, now in this thing, I'm just going to say, have fun and take the Falklands. Okay. Um, yeah. We'll say there's some things I didn't do. I didn't set a turn limit, but after 6 turns, no, after I can't after 6 because the British won't even arrive by then. After 24 turns, whoever owns the Falklands is the winner. Good luck. Okay. All right. So now when I start the game, it should pick this file up as something I could use as a pre-built. Let's see if it does. Let's test it out. Okay. Never mind this. This is for people that are playing multiplayer. It checks to see if anybody's responded to your current games. No one has for me. All right, so um, yeah, I'm gonna delete the old single mouth Sap Atlantic from there. Get rid of this guy. All right, so we're gonna start a game. Let's go to South Atlantic. Start this game type. Now, when I go to pre-built, I should see one. But what happened? Did I not? Did I mess that up? Oh, okay. Sorry, I put it in the wrong spot. I'll fix it. Hold on. I'll have to run it from my development application. Okay. All right. Select game. South Atlantic. Start this game type. Pre-built. Okay. MB return to the Falklands. Here it is. Click it. Have fun and take the Falklands. After 24 turns, whoever owns the Falklands winner. Good luck. All right. Let's play this as AI versus AI just to see how it works. AIs versus AI, and we'll go to begin scenario. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to do another video. All right, this appears. Okay, great. I'm gonna turn that off. I don't want to see that anymore. Okay, great. All right, so here we go. First look. Okay, everything's fine. Um, yeah, okay. He randomly moved the Conqueror. Randomly got dropped there. The AI templates go away. There's no reason for them to exist anymore. So now all you see left are these little guys. But I try to put these as far out because there's really no reason to look at them. Now, what I could have done was I could have created a little. I forgot to show you this. There's a new thing that I created that is called a VP marker. I could have created a little, like a little VP symbol here with some text on it that explains like what you can do. I was kind of in a rush and I forgot to do that. But anyway, let's just see if it works. All right, so we're just gonna go. So what should happen is essentially the British are gonna be really bored for a little while. They'll probably lose this frigate, and I don't know. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh. Hopefully. Oh my goodness. Far South Pacific is storm. Okay, great. And South Georgia is storm. Okay. All right, let's go. All right, so notice. All right. So what happened? Okay, first of all, in F4. Okay, so the Chatham is on a patrol mission. He's going out here. That is part of the whole mission area. If you didn't want him to do that, you set up his objectives a little differently. This guy's out here on maneuvers. No one knows the wiser. This task force is now heading down to the Falklands. He's on an invade, and this guy's also on invade. So here they go. All right, both the both the recon. Let's see if anybody sights anybody. Okay, no, the all right. He's randomly searching around. Interesting. The uh, the Argentine guy, he never even took off, which happens sometimes. Sometimes they just don't pick the move. All right. Now we're done with that. We go to turn 2 p.m. Okay, you got your Chatham's heading out around the horn. He doesn't know these guys are coming. Uh-oh. You look at these guys, they're now only 11 turns out. British are hoping that the Argentinians can't do anything. All right, let's see what happens. Here's still no one sighted anything. Once, boy, that Namrod is just going the wrong spot. Oh man, this is fun. All right, he's getting closer, and that Nimrod's not finding him. The Nimrod's way down there. Oh, oh, if he stops anytime soon, oh no, he's returning to base. Okay, so he missed him. So the Argentinians are stealthily approaching, and it's night. All right, let's try it again. I just want to get into something happening, and then I'll quit. I'll stop the video. So, but obviously, as you can tell, right, it works, right? This is a scenario that you could now use. It's not okay. So he got detected. Now, if we notice here, watch. If I hit, okay. So now he's detected. I don't know how he got it detected. He might have got. He might have been right next to this base and got detected, but now he's on his way back. Yeah, he okay. He was there and he was detected by that base. Now he's heading out here, and he's run out of. I guess he's run out of. Yeah, he's run out of movement. So he must have been on patrol. But now that this guy is sighted, the next time. So notice the conqueror has detected him and is heading toward him. Okay, or he has word now he's been detected, so now he's heading there. He didn't detect him. This guy will soon be heading up that way too. All right. Okay. Still not sure why. Oh, commando raid on airfield, Port Stanley. Oh my gosh. That's a random occurrence. That's a random occurrence, but it actually makes sense for the scenario. They roll a 2, attack result 1, airfield damage level increases by 1. Wow. So the yeah, the British can't even launch from the freaking thing. Oh my goodness. All right. Good weather all around. I'm curious why this guy isn't. I might have done something stupid. Maybe it never. I'm not sure why these guys are both here, why neither of them are launching. I probably didn't set something up. Um, yeah, that's probably what happened. I'm not sure why. But anyway, let's just see what happens the rest of the thing. He's going to land. I think he's going to land some troops here. Close combat. So they're attacking the base as well. Nothing happened though. But they did have some guns, so they attacked it. And I think at the beginning of next round, they'll start unloading troops there. This is giving some time for the British frigate to get closer. Okay. All right, now we're at turn 5. All right. Notice he's now, yeah, he's done. So they're now unloading. These two AAs are unloading, which means that if you look at Port Stanley, there should be enemy forces present. Yep, enemy of 4. So likely these guys are going to get blasted. So obviously you want to, the AI is stupid, right? But you're smarter. You'll make sure that you don't land 4 guys while there's still 10 here, right? So, but anyway, it's fun to watch. So that's pretty much it, right? I probably didn't do. I did something. I don't know what happened here, but I don't think I must not have given this guy the AI thing. I'll have to check my work. But um, yeah, I might have chose missionary instead of theater, and that's why I didn't put these guys in there. But I'm not sure. All right, so that's it. That's a quick and dirty of how to create a mission. Um, I would go through this in detail and ask me questions. I'm going to post this up in our Discord in the Designers Corner, and if you have any questions, get with me. Anyway, this was fun, and it generally worked, and I'm happy. So until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.